My bad. I forgot to unmute. Don't worry, I didn't say anything much anyway. I was simply saying hello. That's a whoops. Dude, good thing you showed up early. I usually don't forget that. I could have been muted for a while. Uh, Damn, that's awkward. That would have been real bad. I also need to unmute Smite. Everything's muted. No, Smite is not unmuted. Never mind. Oh, it is muted. No, it is not unmuted. It has sound. There we go. You finished working on the extra bosses? I did not, because the extra bosses required a bunch of extra stuff. So I will finish it later. That being said, I don't have much left. I know I can finish it later with only like, maybe like 1 or 2 hours. I'm hoping. It depends on how hard the bosses are, but I should be able to finish it pretty quickly. So I will just do that later. It was getting pretty late, and I decided it was time. What is their calm? They have that. Okay. I think I can get pressure in lane, so I'll grab the Thorns. I would like to have both Thorns and Blink this game.
Sweet dreams.
Okay. You rock.
Thanks.
Good luck.
Thanks.
Peace out.
Thanks. Good game.
Sandy.
No.
Not cool.
I also need to go through today the last parts of the patch notes of Smite 2 that I haven't looked at.
Attack the Titan.
Yeah, nice fountain mag after the fight. It was cool. It was very cool.
Okay.
What are you? Chicken?
Okay.
Hey, what's up?
Hi.
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 And it was the final boss. Fair enough. Yeah.
You rock. Cancel that.
I'm pretty sure I even said it too. It felt like the final boss. So, but I was like, there's no way we're not dealing with Erlang, right? So yeah. But yeah, I won't say anything in case people haven't watched it, I guess. So, no spoilers. I'll keep it quiet for the most part.
Be careful.
Yes.
It was great fun though. I enjoyed it.
Retreat.
Okay, he's not bad. Not a bad one. I took way too much poke there.
August.
I probably should have gone for my 3, honestly, in this matchup.
Okay.
Could I get a
Be
glass
careful.
My 3 is a much longer cooldown than his stuff.
Your middle tower is under attack.
Alright, I did an oopsie in this one. I lost pressure I should have had.
Your left.
That's bad. I don't have any more potions either.
Be careful.
Okay.
Fire and
Good game.
into the frying pan.
Okay.
I can slow his clear a bit though.
Quiet.
Stellar accomplishment.
Have fun.
Mamma mia, not again! Sorry. Sorry.
No.
Your left tower. Enemy spotted. On my way.
Enemy spotted.
On my way. Right tower is under attack. Completed.
That's just great.
Attack right lane.
Jungler End's gonna be on my blue as well.
You think you can adjust them?
Stellar accomplishment.
Shaping up pretty rough so far.
Good game.
An enemy has been slain. Your right tower is under attack.
I think this lane should have been somewhat easy, but if my blue is also not gonna be available to me, it's gonna be tough.
Look what I got, Teddy. Sorry. Wow! He must have choked on the meatball.
I'm
Your left
the
tower
greatest.
is under attack.
This guy's definitely not bad. No, that's his ult. I'll take it.
Enemies at left lane. The dream is collapsing. Dio mio! An enemy has been slain. Nice job.
Ah, that sucks, man.
I do not feel pain.
Okay.
I hope Wukong starts doing something soon. On my side as well. Because the Wheelix is starting to become a problem here.
Summer fun.
Oh man! Oh man! Oh man! Oh man! Oh man! You rock!
Please leave the light on tonight. Summer party!
Attack!
Your middle tower is under attack.
Quiet.
Your left tower is under attack.
Attack middle lane.
Attack.
That's good at least.
Over here.
I got my blue buff.
Be careful, Ralph.
Attack fire giant.
Your right tower is under attack. Okay, so maybe a little something behind south.
Okay.
Is ready.
I'll take that trade.
Okay.
I know Relix is around. My main problem here is Relix is probably on their red, or our red Tiki at the moment. Which just fucking sucks, because I cannot deal with a Relix and Guan at the same time here. She's in mid now, at least. Once I have more cooldown and actual protection here, I should be fine. But this squad is much better than I expected. It's not bad.
Okay.
Damn, they're not dying to my one yet. Tragic. Alright, I should be in a better spot now.
This will ward off the nightmares.
Wow!
Oops.
Knocking on the meatball.
Falling back.
Do you know what time tomorrow's special launches? I have no idea, actually. Maybe there's a countdown somewhere.
An
Okay.
ally
Ah,
has
this is
been
kind of
slain.
bad.
Your
You
left tower
rock.
is under attack.
Stellar accomplishment. Smell you later.
Quiet. You cancel that. No. Okay.
An enemy has
Okay.
been slain. Enemy
No
missing
problem.
left.
Just in case.
Defend.
Smell you later.
Your right tower is under attack. Your middle tower is under attack.
Hi.
Smell you later.
Okay.
Right my way. Wow!
On
He must
my
have
way.
choking on the meatball. Okay, your right tower is under attack.
Totally radical.
Ultimate is ready.
Damn, dude. I think I did it. I didn't even hit it. I have no idea.
Smell you later.
You think you're gonna just pass away like that?
That's too bad.
Wow! Okay. Yeah.
Thanks.
You
Smell
will
you
be
later.
Your
darkness
right
soon.
tower is under attack. Your left tower is under attack.
The Sun Wukong is just nowhere to be found around me.
You're not again.
Castle.
Okay.
Not cool.
He hasn't even been here for my blue buffs,
Your left tower is under attack.
which I will probably be losing now.
Okay.
Again. Yeah, it's already gone.
Okay, some. Okay. Maybe a little.
This Medusa is not. I feel like... Yeah, he's just gone. Why is she here? Oh my god.
You're gonna just pass
Oh
away
my
like
god.
that? Your right tower is under attack.
Truly a baby game.
Your right tower has been destroyed. Your middle tower is under attack.
It's weird, because it feels like a baby game, except for my lane. Guan Yu's pretty good. He's playing it very well into a combo. On top of that, a Wheelix is a fucking problem for me.
right back. Ultimate is ready.
Now I definitely won't be able to kill him anymore.
Completed. Be careful left. Be careful left. Be careful left. Be careful left.
Sweet dreams.
Why is he saying be careful left?
An enemy has been slain.
Okay.
Teddy's got my back.
I'll grab early Archdruid here, I think.
Stellar accomplishment.
Your left tower is
Awesome.
under attack. Your left tower.
Got an assist, boys. I'm on the map. Guan Yu obviously did blue in the meantime. Great.
Enemy missing left.
An enemy has been slain.
Enemies incoming middle. Please leave the light on tonight.
Guan Yu might be coming mid. I don't know where the fuck he is. Nope, he's still here. No, I was.
Smell you later.
Quiet.
That was supposed to be mine. Actually, I'll just see if I can get these. I need the gold.
We have more slumber parties.
They're just on gold.
The enemy team
Dude,
has destroyed
how...
the
I wish someone called that, because I didn't realize in time. I could have just CP'd at any time.
I'm going for jungle buff. Retreat from the jungle.
I'm on it. We did it, Teddy.
Okay.
I'm getting this.
Okay.
Attack left lane.
Enemies spotted. Your team has destroyed a
Attack
middle
right
enemy
lane.
tower.
Smell you later.
An ally has been slain.
Okay.
Focus. My bad.
Stellar accomplishment.
Under attack.
Board here.
Mine.
Good game. Mamma mia, not again.
Dude, what is happening over there?
Your middle, your secret just passed out. Your middle tower is destroyed. An ally has been slain. Your middle tower is under
It's not looking too good. Maybe I can snag up someone here.
Your middle tower has been destroyed.
Okay.
Dude, I don't believe that.
You haven't slain an enemy. Bravo!
Match.
Awesome!
Spark is gonna laser back maybe.
Wow!
Okay.
Okay, so
Okay.
And he's we're not gonna get him.
a little salt did hurt someone.
Nice. Dude, we don't have a tier 2. I didn't realize this. Yeah, it's Jober.
Stellar accomplishment.
Think you can outrun me?
I might still actually do.
Okay.
Yeah, fuck it. I'll do mystical mail. I mean, dude, this game is so over already. Like the jungle diff and the ADC diff at the moment is just too much. They're all so fed, and they are kind of actual Phoenix out of this.
The enemy team has destroyed the pyramids.
Dude, they hate each other so much.
Yes.
Code injection.
Ally has been slain. Cancel that. Cancel that. The enemy team has destroyed the fire giant. The enemy team has destroyed the gold fury.
Teddy's got my back.
Now, Wukong doesn't seem bad in any way, but this man ignored the left jungle so hard it put me so far behind because Guan Yu was just taking both Tikis or Wheelix as well, like Tiki and Blue all the time. It's real bad.
Under attack. Don't come back again.
Attack left lane.
Jesus Christ, man.
Cancel that.
Attack!
We can't kill him. I highly doubt it. He's way too tanky. We got a Wukong jungle who can't really lock him down either.
Be careful.
Your structure is under attack.
This could be good though. Damn, that's all again?
Okay.
Better than
Okay.
one. Okay, so maybe a little salt did hurt someone.
You will be.
Yeah, it's Jover.
Your middle phoenix is under attack. Your middle phoenix has been destroyed. Your titan is under attack.
Hey, what's going on this game? It's a baby game for sure. It seems to be very mixed in MMR. I dealt with a very good Guan Yu as combo, which was surprising, because I did not expect that. I also had a Wheelix camp my blue buff, so I was just unable to do anything this game, while we had a Wukong jungle completely ignoring the left side of the jungle. He wasn't there for a single blue, or even his own Shaman camp. So we lost all of those too, so we didn't have any fucking Tikis. My Medusa, I'm not really sure what happened there, if she was just bad or getting cammed or whatever, but Medusa kind of died on cooldown. So. It was a game, for sure. This was our jungler, man. He did so little damage too. I really also didn't do a whole lot of damage, I suppose. Alright, I want to pull up this Smite 2 stuff, because I still haven't looked at it fully. It's taking me like 3 streams to go through all this. I don't know why it's showing this, though. That is not the window I want you to capture right now. It's weird how it changes whatever it wants to show. Can you just show this? That'd be great. That's still not Smite 2. Don't need to show clips. Weird. Okay. Yeah, final day of Smite. It will definitely be different in Smite 2, guys. For sure. It's gonna be great over there. It's paradise. There's not gonna be any bad players. I believe I went to... There's just smaller changes, I believe. I don't want to see this. Where's the God balance? God balance. Okay, Anubis has been buffed. Yes. Woohoo. Wait. Mummify? Mummify does damage? No, dude. Mummify does damage now? Did it do that always in Smite 2? I never realized if it did. Dude, what the fuck? Okay, sure. Let's do that. Ares, has been nerfed, which is good, because he was kind of broken, just a little bit. Yeah, fixing the issue that causes them ability to deal significantly more damage on subsequent hits. Yeah. Initial damage shifted as well. Okay, so just overall a nerf here for Well, actually, a scaling buff, but a base damage nerf. That's good. Always did. Damn. Huh. I had no idea. I guess it's trying. Like, I don't know. I guess that they're trying to like spread out his damage a bit more rather than being just fully focused on his either like 1-3 combo or his ultimate. Suppose we'll see how that works out. Athena. It's just tanky. Great. Bacchus. I'm trying to see if there's just, like, I don't know all the big changes that didn't Smite 2 anyway. So I'm just trying to see if I notice anything out of the ordinary. Chuck was never percentage based though, was it? Maybe it is at the moment in Smite 1, but I don't know if it is. Because percentage based Chuck is kind of sick. Or like really powerful. 80% of protections when it's fully maxed is kind of insane. Like legitimately insane. He's gonna be so tanky with Chuck on. And he will still be killing you. Rebellion flop also with damage scaling increased to 85 as well, but it's plus 60 protections. Dude, full damage Bacchus will fuck you up. That's an interesting change. Yeah, scales off protections. 60%. Damn. Damn.
Pick your god.
What am I looking at here? What do I want to play? I need to pick something. I kind of don't want to just super try hard. It's the final fucking day. I don't want to super try hard. What am I looking at? Yeah, I'm doing something else. Stop Paul. Right, so base damage as well. Belt of the Gods, I see. Dude, 20 is quite a lot from it to just a tick. Now it applies anti-healing again. I think that's good. I think it should have the anti-healing aspect to it. But dude, Bacchus was buffed. Yikes. Okay. Basic attacks. Increased hammer cleave. Interesting. Doubled? The hammer cleave does double damage? I thought it was fine, personally. But I guess it wasn't. Master of War also increased a bit. Decreased, rather, from 7 to 4. Okay. Shield Bash. I honestly I forgot the details on Bellona, even though I played her a pretty decent amount. I don't remember if this is a good thing or not, honestly. Or how it compares to Smite 1. Shield Bash. Deflect damage decreased. Okay. Don't really see a big, I guess, difference in that anyway. This also scales off of protections. That's interesting. Eagle's Rally as well scales off protections. Strength shifted. I'm not really sure what this is supposed to mean, the shifted aspects to these. Cooldown has also been increased, dude. Wow. Damn. No longer a 75 seconds cooldown on Eagle's Rally. Huh. That's gonna make her severely less powerful, I think. The low cooldown on her ult is something that makes her pretty decent, I would say. Because she doesn't have a whole lot of mobility. She's pretty easy to lock down, especially if she doesn't have an ult. Alright, Kronos. It's just his damage types being changed. I think that's good. Chuck. Base damage increased. Yes, let's do that. Let's buff Chuck. He was already very powerful in the alpha. And also now has more protections from his 2. Okay. Not a gigantic buff, but I mean actually kind of is. That's 30 extra. 10 extra early. It does a very little damage actually. 55? What the fuck? Thunderstrike is his axe throw, right? Am I wrong about that? That is no damage in the early game. But this is the weird part. It's gonna be easier once you've played Smite 2 for a little while, because right now I don't understand. Like the damage types are very different, and you do way less damage in Smite 2. As well, so. What am I building? What am I building? Oh, Dawasi. Am I against Afro? Huh? Okay. But why? Something against Afro? Yeah, I'll remove this as well before I forget. I'm forgetful today. Yeah, I can't see the game, yeah. I remember it in time. We're good. We're safe. Yeah, it used to be 60 lat, okay. Now it scales with prods. Bacchus, I don't think he's gonna be like a top solo or anything like that in Smite 2, but it does make him a potential candidate as a solo. If he suddenly becomes incredibly good as a... I mean, he's obviously, if you're building full tank, he's gonna be a support no matter what.
Wow, cool.
But it could be a solo as well, I suppose.
Save yourself.
Probably not, though. But the fact that they're buffing his damage through protections might make him a good solo. It just depends on how he compares to the rest of the solos. Because right now we don't really know who's going to be good. Hades was nerfed, I believe, as well, which we haven't gotten to yet in the patch notes. But I believe Hades was indeed nerfed. Because he was by far the best. Hades was absolutely insane. He was straight up broken. To a pretty unreal extent. It is indeed an Afro. Oh, it's Rico. Huh. Damn tower rocks. If they didn't exist, I would have had a kill.
You're not getting away. Well shot. Cutie coming through.
Huh. Conduit Gem. Also, Kiss does damage now? How the fuck did I not know this? Because I literally just died because I didn't expect Kiss to kill me. I was like, she used her 2, she just used her 3. She has nothing left. Kiss does damage now? Why? Why? Everything does damage now. Thorwald does damage. Anubis Mummified does damage. Why is everything doing damage now? Unbelievable. I'm turning into a baby now.
Enemy has been slain.
Actual Vamana transformation, but one you wouldn't expect.
You think you can just pass away like that?
I don't want to risk it. She's fucking level 5.
Wow! You must have joker on the meatball. An ally has been slain. Mwah! Compliments to the chef. Mwah! Compliments to the chef.
No, no, not good. Seriously? On my way.
Your middle tower is under attack. Your left tower is under attack.
Enemy ultimate down.
I'll take one of those.
Just this first time, I will do this. I hate ulting back a solo to lane as Apollo, but I don't want to lose any more XP than I already have.
Been slain.
Right back. Enemy
I can't risk falling further behind. Damn it.
He must have joker on the meatball.
No, no, not good.
I don't need to worry if I want to dash her though. If Cloud shows up again, I'm just dead. At least without ult.
Ruffled a feather, have I? Sorry.
Mamma mia, not again! An ally has been slain.
Don't listen. You're not getting away.
Double kill. An enemy has been
I tried to call it out. Damn it, I beat it. Hopefully no one noticed. It's not the worst, I guess. It's not like I need it right now anyway. Against them, at least. They don't have a gigantic beats comp, but we don't need to talk about that. I'll grab some cooldown. Alright, I'll take the squats for that stupid beats. That's definitely unnecessary, we can agree. Now, my build won't really be the same. Ah, damn. I'm just gonna ult. I might lose this wave anyway, actually. Maybe I'll grab one creep. No, I missed it exactly.
Your right tower is under attack.
You're not getting away.
The babysitting is too much. Jesus Christ, fine, I'm warding. The babysitting has happened, or is happening, way too hard. It is insane how easy this lane would be if it wasn't for Clio. Hopefully they can get this in time. Dude, I don't want to just farm, man. Fucking a farming Apollo solo lane, that's not what I signed up for. This is tragic.
Your middle tower is under attack. Yo! Don't come back again! Behind us!
I can't.
From the silver moon.
I can't risk dying again.
Your right tower is under attack. This seems a bit menial. Your team has destroyed a middle enemy tower.
I mean, honestly, all things considered, this was not a bad trade for us. We got mid tower. I took their some of the buffs, I guess,
An ally has been slain.
and they didn't really get. They got what, like a few kills. It's fine. We can deal with that.
Enemy missing left. That's the way! Enemy spotted! Okay, stop.
Start.
Think you can adjust.
Start.
Ally has been slain. That'll up.
Oh, wait, is Clio what is he called?
Spotted. Enemy spotted.
Damn it, I forgot what he's called now. Is that why I haven't seen him in a while?
Mamma mia, not again! Enemy ultimate down! Mwah! Compliment to the chef.
I do forgot what he's called now.
Your team has destroyed a right enemy tower. An enemy has been slain.
Until we meet again.
We own this jungle! Your right tower is under attack. Passed away like madness. Your right tower has been destroyed.
I have enough lifesteal to stick around.
Enemy missing. Hello from the heart of the silver moon.
Keep an eye out, eh? Enemies in right lane.
An ally has been slain.
Ward right.
Double kill.
Defend the Gold Fury.
No problem.
Your right tower is under attack.
Cancel that. Attack left lane.
Don't think me ulting to gold is gonna do anything.
Thanks.
Enemy spotted.
Oh no, why would he go in? I don't think we should fight this at all. Do we even have any anti-healing?
Better than one.
Star.
Compliments to the chef.
Damn it! Dude! Good jukes, man. That was actually kind of hard to hit. Holy shit. Props to the jukes. I never focused so hard in my life. I almost popped like an ore in my forehead. Jesus Christ. I had to activate my third eye for that. Yeah, I almost got fucking clowned. I would have felt like a fucking idiot if I didn't get him there.
Yeah, I like that.
In left lane.
Let's see if I can actually get some decent crit online here. I think crit is the best thing for us, or for me to build here.
This seems a bit menial.
Dude, they're so low, I hate it.
They carry light.
Attack fire giant.
On my way.
I think this is a good call. Like, legitimate. Clutch.
Catch these. They carry light. Retreat. Attack.
Fire was definitely risky, but with 2 ADCs we can do it while Janus hold us down. It's the perfect time to do it. And like, enough CC to pretty much CC anyone who comes in. Like, they were so low. It's the one call I would trust myself with right there. See this stinky Clio play? Yeah. Or Will? Stinky Clio play Will.
Okay, so
What?
maybe a little something.
Am I reading it wrong, or am I just misunderstanding it, maybe? I don't think I understand the question. But he does stink, yes. Only when he tries to kill me, though.
I'll defend right lane.
Enemies in left lane.
Attack right lane.
Ultimate is ready.
No!
To stardust.
Little too deep.
Destroyed a middle enemy phoenix.
Attack right lane.
Set up an ambush here.
Ow, dude.
Fast as the wind. They carry light. Until we meet
There's a big Yana snipe for them. I did call for the retreat.
Yeah, I like that.
I'll get Deathbringer over finishing my starter here. I think it's a bit more valuable. For once. Hey Cammy, good to see you, man.
Enemies in right lane. Spreading happiness. Attack.
Keep an eye out, eh?
Fast in the wind.
Your right tower is under attack. Your team
Group
has
up.
destroyed a right enemy tower.
Catch these. They carry life. Woo!
Passed away like that? Mamma mia, not again!
Save yourself! Careful, right! Enemies incoming!
Your middle tower is under attack. Your middle tower has been destroyed.
Help middle lane!
Tower is under attack.
Your, okay, some, maybe a little something hurt someone.
Dude, they're just running away from me! Okay, I dashed straight into that.
Mwah! Compliments to the chef. Mwah! Compliments to the chef.
Your middle phoenix.
It's not over, but can we group?
Never hurt.
That'd be kind of cool if we grouped.
That look, this performance. Face the enemy!
Just fucking blink. I had to go for Clio, because Clio is the main problem. I am great, Yokai, and it is not morning. It hasn't been morning for quite a while. But I'm great today. I feel nice. I'm excited for Smite 2 tomorrow. And I need to finish Wukong later. I finished the campaign of Wukong, but apparently there's a lot of secret shit that I want to do as well.
We need wards!
EFG is up soon. We cannot give them that for free.
Defend the tiger.
Fast as the wind. Enemies in left lane. Attack!
Where is Cupid? What happened? Come to me! People keep running fucking away. Oh, didn't see them.
Let's celebrate! Where's the vino? An ally has been slain.
We just, every single time we let Clio just deal with us. She always picked someone off, but that is how Clio plays. Like, he plays it well too. What you absolutely need to do is the same thing with Loki, it's the same thing with Morgan, it's the same thing with anything that pretty much like tries to hide from you that needs to get behind you. Buy fucking Raven wards. It's not difficult. You just buy Raven wards so they're always visible. It's not that difficult. Still though, getting the late game with their comp was tough. Dude, he did so much damage too, the Oleron. Janos legitimately and honestly came in clutch. Because when we were sieging, 2 Phoenixes fucking down. Janos ult hit probably 3 people. That was bad. That was bad. But oh well. It is punishment time. Alright. I'll do 20 squats now. Shit, man. He was like, what is happening? Dude. He's 20 kilos. He's heavier than he looks. Yeah, double your workout. I don't have to do anything now. Like, I just put your house down. Yeah, I was actually more sad about the Janus. The one big 3-man Janus night when we were sieging was real bad for us. That's the play that makes me real sad. But yeah, my team didn't know how to do with Clio. I told them to ward. No one warded. Jesus Christ. Oh, the squad punishment. And it's so hot today too. Yeah, you guys played well. I'm sad that you visited me in solo so often. When I was having such a fun time. I think I want to do a mage next. I think today I'll focus on just playing what I want to play. Ganked you twice. Yeah, but it was every time when I almost had Afro. It was every time when I almost had Afro, and I stopped going aggressive because of it. You ruined my fun. I had to play passive suddenly. And ward. That's the worst part. I had to buy wards. You needed help, yeah. I mean, it's fair. It's definitely a tough matchup for Afro in the beginning. It's alright. I understand. Dude, why is Morgan still banned? Fix her. I want to play her. I literally just got into playing Morgan because she was still pretty new to me. And then she was banned for all eternity for being bugged. Let me play her. Damn it. Yeah, it helped getting some wards against you. Because I knew you were going to be around eventually again. And every time you showed up on the wards, I'm just dipping. Dipped all the way back. Or I had my ult ready.
Select your god.
I don't want to play Cthulhu, I guess, if I am playing what I want. Yeah, I want to play Ra, but Ra solo is just gonna get clapped probably.
Pick your god.
Pick your god. What an annoying backline. Yeah, I'll just do it. I want to play it. Odin and Amma? At least it's Odin support, I imagine. I won't have to deal with him for a while. That's good. They kind of have a team comp I don't want to meet late game as Ra. Wait, what? Is it Anubis jungle? That's not good for me. If it is. Also, I don't have music on today. I think a lot of you probably don't care much about that, but if you do care about that, I can put them on, or if you want to do song requests or something like that. Could be Scylla jungle, it could be Scylla jungle as well. I mean, it could also just be Odin jungle and Anubis solo or something like that. It could also just be Scylla solo as well, now that they know it was a mage in solo. So it could just be mage v mage. It's very possible, but Amma and Odin, I would imagine that one of them at least is going solo. Solo and support would make the most sense. It's Anubis jungle. I think it's Anubis jungle, guys. And oh my god, dude. Meeting Bib as Ra solo when he plays Anubis is not gonna be a good time for me, I think. This might be tough. Dude, what I've been building is that an early shifters, maybe? I need beads. I might have to go for an early shifters. Because he is gonna have blink no matter what.
Energy is a resource to be harvested and used liberally and to devastating effect. More power, more problems. For them.
For them. Let's see if he is back before the next 20 seconds. If not, we'll have to pause. The left side of my back hurts today. I think I slept wrong. Think he's back? Yeah. When did Rahil get protections back? It also gives power? I actually didn't know. Didn't they remove that at a certain point? I didn't even realize they put it back. Damn. So when you actually ult people, you should use your 3 first, or stand in it. I did not know. You got out of the voice packs? Nice. I honestly hope voice packs will just be like normal in Smite 2. It doesn't make any sense to me that you're playing a god without a voice pack. Actually, maybe this let me rephrase. I think there's just too many small little cosmetic things that should just be default. Could just be me though.
Energy field deployed. Stay in or don't. Your choice. Can you handle that?
Out of the fire and into the frying pan.
Energy field deployed. Stay in or don't. Your choice.
Be careful, right?
Okay. Energy field deployed. Sustaining critical damage. Your choice. Defeated.
I thought he didn't. Dude, they're so low, and I'm so sad Thor was not around for that. I actually kind of outplayed them. Dude, I just need one of my junglers to be good. I really need them to be there. Same thing with the Kumba game. Same thing with my last game. Not that Ravana was actually good. Never mind. I don't want to do anything there, but sad. Now I'm probably gonna lose pressure in a lane where I had complete control.
Stay in or don't. Your choice. Energy field deployed. Stay in or don't. Your choice. Energy field deployed.
Okay, stop. Maybe a little salt be her
I still don't see Anubis anywhere. There he is.
Stay in or don't. Your choice. Energy field deployed.
Let's celebrate. I am
slain.
Stay in or don't. Your choice.
Everyone is in fucking solo, man. Today is arguably the most visited solo on my part, man. Why is so many visiting solo today? That's another thing that will be nice with Smite too. Rotating will take much longer. Because the map is much wider. I think that's good. Rotating right now is so fucking easy.
Ultimate is down.
Compliments to the chef. Mamma mia, not again.
Stand or don't.
Ally has been slain.
Your left tower is under energy field deployed. Burn to a crisp.
Well played, everyone.
Tower is under attack. Stay in or don't. Your choice. Let's get this suit juiced up.
Missing.
Your middle tower is under attack. Your right tower is under attack.
That's a million teleporters? That's true, but... Yeah. I mean, it's a good point. Once we get used to the teleporters more, maybe that's gonna be really, really bad, but... The teleporter, to get to the teleporter, is not like just... It's not that fast. You have to go all the way around the jungle, beside it, and then you know... I don't know, there's a lot of jungle shit you have to get around to actually be there, you know? Like, it's gonna take you...
Mamma will not be happy.
Got a kill for it. I should have warded. Once again, I'm sitting with a ward and I didn't place it. That's just completely my own fault. I'll take that death on my own. Thor should not be fighting her. Get out, dude.
Enemy ultimate down.
You did exceptional. Energy field deployed.
Don't take my wave, though. I need it so badly.
Stay in or don't. Your choice. Ah. Orbital scout deployed.
Enemy missing.
Energy field deployed.
You think you can just bust out? Wow.
Stay in or don't.
Dude, I fucking knew he was gonna be behind too. Why didn't I check? Everything in my fucking body says he's gonna be behind. I'm stupid. That's just silly. We didn't even get blue either. Alright, I'm gonna start warding in more unconventional places then. At least for next time, I know he's probably gonna just do that again.
Tank left lane.
Sad. That's gonna be done.
Middle tower is under attack. Energy field deployed. Burn to a crisp. Stay in or don't. Your choice.
Enemy spotted.
Energy field deployed.
That didn't go where I wanted it to.
Stay in or don't. Your choice. Enemy missing right.
An enemy has been slain.
Got my eyes on all of you.
That was a saucy anchovy. Wow.
Energy field deployed.
No one is for free.
Stay in.
Enemy ultimate down.
What am I actually even getting here? Pen? That's fine.
Under attack. Mwah! Compliments to the chef.
Energy field deployed.
No! He leashed this time. Smart.
Your choice. Energy field deployed.
Attack right leg.
Have a great day.
Stay in.
An enemy has been slain. Oh no. GG, no ring. Under attack.
Unfortunate that your Mojo got the kill, but no worries. At least we got it.
Your left tower has been destroyed. An ally has
Hello
been
from the
slain.
heart of the silver moon.
Hey.
Alright, Benji. Enjoy your dinner.
Energy field deployed. Orbital scout deployed. Stay in or don't. Your choice.
On my way. Attack!
Energy field deployed. Can you handle this? Stay in or don't. Your choice.
Damn.
Fresh meat has been tenderized.
Scylla damage is just great. I love being basically fucking one shot.
Your right tower has been destroyed.
Bursting with joy.
Let's get this suit juiced up.
Tower is under attack. Be careful left. Enemy missing right.
Got a kill at least. Progress.
That was insane.
Help middle lane.
Stay in or down. Your choice.
Okay, so maybe a little. You think you can just
Hmm.
blast away like that?
We don't really have any words for this.
See ya.
Bending at its finest.
Possible.
Wow. Compliment to the chef.
Still a one shot. And they have vision once again. Get him. Yeah, we'll let Anubis go through, and it's on top of Bib as well. Bib controls stuff way too easily with Anubis. Not to mention Anubis just... Honestly, he's broken right now. He's so powerful. Did you just hack my wave?
Mamma mia, not again. See ya. Your middle tower is under attack.
Energy field deployed.
Sylla is gonna be behind me.
Can you handle that?
I'm also pretty sure the last 3 times I've played Raw, someone has picked Odin against it. That never happens when my enemy team picks Raw. Like, not even once.
Enjoy the journey ahead.
Energy field deployed. Can you handle that? Of course, it couldn't match it. Much more of a fight. Ha! Stay in or don't. Your choice. All that's left is stone and rubble.
Okay, so maybe a little
More
something
power,
hurts some.
more problems. For them.
Odin also just kind of shits on our comp if we don't have Phantom, which it seems like we did not have at the time.
Follow my trail. They carry life.
Stay in or don't. Your choice.
In the end, just a cycle.
Can you handle that? Energy field deployed. Stay in or don't. Your choice. Energy field deployed.
Structure is under attack.
I don't think this is over, honestly. We have Phantom now. We're good.
Let's get this suit juiced up.
And I would be willing to say I could probably carry this if I get good snipes late game. But it all really depends on that. Oh.
You think you can just blast away like that?
Energy field deployed.
But it truly is crazy how much people don't want to ward.
Burn! Stay in or don't. Your choice.
Ally has been slain.
Thor being 15 as well is not great.
Bursting with joy.
Game was kind of over. Yeah, it does a little bit now. Well, you're the Odin though, right? That's easy for you to say. I don't want to surrender. Don't bait me into surrendering. Oh, well, you can just end now. Oh, that's Kami? Okay. No, let me up! Damn it! Alright. No, it was a bib difference. Bitch was just kind of controlling the map as usual. I'll take the blame. Like the first two deaths, I feel like wasn't really anything I could have done anything about. Cause I had like I played them the first time they showed up. I went back in thinking that Thor was on his way, but he was still so far behind at the time. So I'll take some blame for that. I also don't know who Feel My Burst is, but this guy is so he's such a typical casual player in the way he says things. I kind of had fun that game though, not gonna lie. I just like playing Raw. Raw is so much fun.
Select
I think
your
I actually
god.
want to play a frontline now though. I've been playing non-frontliners for 3 games now. That's not true. I played Combat 1 game, but that game was a joker before I did anything. Maybe I'll play Mage. I should have been the Anubis. I already forgot.
Pick your god.
Kind of digging Sobek here, to be honest. Hopefully we have a jungle and carry being physical. I didn't even know there was a guide here. Osiris. Not a terrible matchup for me. Well, it's fine. Probably gonna lose the clear though. Especially early. Alright, I gotta see if I can actually get a win. Like, I don't really care anymore. I mean, once this stream is over, I won't be returning to Smite 1 probably. So this is the last. Then I'll be Smite 2 only. That being said, I would like to end on a win. Okay. Not today, it said. Not today. I'm not ending this stream until I get a win. I'm just saying. I will end my Smite 1 career on a win. That's it. Okay, where were we? Fenrir. Might have to make the stream more and more. Are you saying my streams are short? Because you're right now. That's because I am playing Wukong at the same time. A never-ending stream. I'll probably definitely... Didn't know we'd be here until tomorrow? Damn. Roasted. Yeah, I mean, I'll be back tomorrow with Smite 2, and the plan is to stream more. But I can also feel that pretty soon I'm gonna need a day off, because I've been streaming every day for a while now. But it's because there's been so many games out. I wanna play Wukong, I wanna play Smite, and I don't wanna just neglect the people that want to watch me play Smite as well, which is why I've been streaming it. Because I could just play Smite off stream and play Wukong on stream while it's a thing. But I'll finish Wukong later, for sure this time, actually. Because I finished the main stuff of Wukong now, and I'm just doing some side secret stuff that I also think I would want to finish on stream, because it would feel unsatisfying to finish it off stream. So there'll be a little bonus of that. So anyway, Fenrir also has protection scaling now on some of his stuff. Pretty small, but interesting. Same thing with Ragnarok. Can no longer buy structures. Could he do that before? I guess that was a glitch, or a glitch, I should say. But maybe I mean, I don't know, maybe it was intentional. But that's kind of funny. This is all the Hades nerfs. Yeah. I mean, it's probably still gonna be really good though. Hmm. Interesting. That's kind of a... I guess that's a decent change for Kukulkan, so that he always has the same scaling, instead of it scaling up. But that means he's gonna be weaker late game. But I guess he's always decent late game anyway. It's kind of his early game that sucks. And damage scaling on Zephyr as well. That's fine. I mean, it's gonna be interesting to see what even happens with Kukulkan. Because he does have the dash now. Still situational, but once people figure out how to use it really well, I feel like it's going to be super powerful. do feel like playing Sobek. Neath, also just conversion or damage type being changed. Makes sense. So before you could pretty much build a Neath like mage, but I guess by them making it physical now, she can't really do the same build as before. I wonder what it's gonna do to Neath, because Neath was really good. Neath was arguably the best mid in the early alpha. If you don't include Hades. But now you can't really build the same magical items with her being physical, so that's interesting. Wonder what that's gonna do. Odin getting buffed, that's cool. Damage type changed as well, that's also nice to see, as well as Gungnir's Smite. Odin might be kinda nice now. In Susano, they fixed a lot of the weird stuff that he had. You couldn't really combo stuff very well with him. It's nice to see as well. Sol being nerfed a bit? No, just increased actually. Never mind. So int and strength. I guess it's not so much of a buff, more of like a... It is a buff for sure, but I don't think this is going to do a massive difference, to be honest. I could be wrong though. Ymir's now fully magical. So, damn dude, you can't build attack speed Ymir anymore. Shit. Well, you can, but it would only be magical items, and they aren't really as good. You can't crit anymore then. And base damage decreased? Really? They nerfed his too? By 40 as well, and 20 early game? Holy shit. Huh. Oh, you can still crit on them? It's just the scaling doesn't... Yeah, the scaling is going to be a bit off him. I mean, I guess my point being is that even if you can, is this not going to be good? Oh, if you buy strength, he's still going to do magic damage? Okay. Yeah, I would have to test it too. I'm surprised by the heavy, like, nerf in Glacial Strike though. That's a big hit. Like 40 damage late game is crazy. As well as 20 early. Like the 20 early might be harder or more insane than the 40 late game. And Shards of Ice as well. That has been increased a bit. Damage floor increased. The fuck is damage floor? What does that mean? Damage floor increased. From 30. And a bit more, okay. I'm not really sure what that means, but also protection scaling, so that's interesting.
It's a big fishy, small fish world, baby. And I'm the big fish.
And I'm the big fish. That seems to be an Odin solo. I have no idea who that is. And Hugo. I think we got baby gamed. Yeah, I do apologize for the short streams the last few days. I just don't want to end up burning myself out streaming too much. Because I know the Wukong streams are definitely taking priority in terms of time right now. But I'm also very close to finishing it. And also knowing that Smite 2 was going to come out very soon meant that my 3 button did not work there, what the fuck. Don't fuck with me now, keyboard. Knowing that Smite 2 is coming out, I know that I'm going to spend so much time playing Smite in the next few weeks. So I wanted to prioritize something else. For that period. Yeah, my hour streamed is still... I mean, it's at the moment it's probably a bit more. because of Wukong. Like yesterday, the Wukong stream went much further than I wanted it to. I streamed Wukong until like 2 a.m. That's no bueno. You want a box, buddy? I have an anchor. You got a silly little spear. I'll box you all day.
Attack the minions!
Can't stand the heat. Get out of my kitchen.
You can't do that one, Odin.
You think you can just pass away like that?
Right lane. Be careful.
Okay.
Damn. I went for it. It would have been good poke.
Follow me!
Dude, if I had mana, I would so invade right now.
That. Yo, back off, bro. Yo, I'm on my way. Okay.
Damn it, man. I hate when junglers do that. Now I didn't get XP, but he did. It's like a lot of poke.
Good, man.
He has beats. I mean, I guess it makes sense. He's against the Wheelix. I guess actually not that crazy when I think about it. It's not a bad idea.
Stop. Maybe a little soft here. Mamma mia, not again.
Never mind. I'm backing. I'm not backing. I don't want to give him this for free. Yeah, it's the same guy. I'm playing the same team with this guy all day.
That.
He's not happy.
Your middle tower is under attack.
Be right back. Enemy spotted.
I'll just yoink this.
Be careful.
Dude, I haven't even finished my item yet. Odin is not gonna have a great time going into this later.
Tasty. I'll turn him into chump.
Hello from the heart.
What do I actually want? I think I want to do regrowth into Pridwin. I don't know when I made that build, but I kind of like it on Sopek.
Manage
managed to mess that up.
Gives me some more mobility as well.
Enemy spotted!
An enemy has been slain. Nice job. Compliments to the chef. An ally has been slain.
It's definitely a baby game.
I can't wait to tell people what I
Ban him next time? Oh, ban his Cupid. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, he's gonna get so mad. He's gonna tilt. I don't want to do that on purpose. I can't. I'm not like that. I don't want to stoop to that level.
Enemies in middle lane! How did you
good, man. Your left tower is under back off, bro. Why you gotta be so salty? Bet you taste salty too. Be careful left. No enemy missing right.
Your middle tower is
Enemies in
under
the flame! Enemy ultimate down!
Mamma mia, not again!
If it wasn't an Odin, I would try to steal it anyway.
Watch my fin.
An enemy has been slain.
Looks like.
I don't want to get locked in there though. Even though I do actually have my ult. I should have thought about that before. I'm still not used to like fully that Sobek goes under walls now, because he used to not do that.
Your right tower is under attack. Your left
Still a little weird for my brain, I guess.
Hey, good job. Oh, whatever. Wow. Talk about rude. Good job. Oh, whatever.
I don't know who this Willix is, but I don't know the name at all. But he's pretty good too. He's willing to take very, very risky things, trusting his own abilities to go through with a ballsy play. I respect that.
An enemy has been slain.
I'm just kind of back. I'm overstaying way too much. I'm getting this. It's fine, I have Curse Weaver.
Your middle tower is under attack. Okay, stop. Maybe a little something hurt someone. Salty anchovy. Enemy missing me.
Cancel that.
Your middle tower is under attack.
I got my trusty anchor. What more do I need?
How did you manage to mess that up?
He's checking posing real fast. More. I need more of them.
No thanks. Good, man.
No. Actually, I guess cooldown is fine while I don't have Prit one yet. Unintentionally calculated. That is indeed something you can do.
Anchors away, broskies. Yo, 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 back off.
An enemy has been slain. Choking on the meatball. Come and get some. Your middle tower is under attack.
I got what I wanted.
Ward here.
Yeah, my jungle is great. I'm happy he's following up on stuff. Honestly, he's been following up on stuff when I didn't even realize he was there. But it also makes good sense.
On my way.
There's some good damage. That sucks. I'm just fucking around. People can just get out. That's 15-year-old.
Attack the gold fury. Enemies have returned to base. Attack. Catch these. They carry life.
I got a little greedy. I could have just gotten out. Would have been fine if Ra didn't show up. But Ra hurts me so bad. Like, what is one beam? Almost 400. Do we have pestilence? We don't. I'll grab it. And he's just solo farming and right.
Your right tower has been destroyed.
Ridman coming in clutch as well.
To mess that up.
And regrowth for the speed.
Retreat!
Careful left.
Enemies incoming middle!
No enemy missing right.
Managed to
Man.
mess that up.
Enemies incoming right.
Okay.
Attack the gold fury! Help!
That's real. Enemy spotted.
Gimp. Oh my god. CC.
Watch it. I'm walking here. Enemies have returned to base. Let's finish this show.
Compliments to the chef.
No problem. I'll bait. Last item what though? Probably Archdruid, as usual.
Tactical fury. Your team has destroyed a middle enemy tower.
How did you manage to mess that up?
Watch my fin.
Gank right lane! Cancel that!
Okay.
Okay.
Be careful.
Oh, we didn't even get Odin? That sucks.
He must have choking on the meatball.
Attack the fire giant!
Fire giant! Enemies have returned to base.
Rama hurts. I definitely need physical protection last. Though I guess Archwitch might be enough, but I could honestly, maybe I should just go go for Midgardian. Or, wait, he has crit, doesn't he? He doesn't. I think I just do Archdruid as I originally thought I was.
Enemy missing.
An enemy has been slain.
They're just kind of pushing our shit right now.
Attack left lane.
Attack left lane!
Be careful left.
Yeah? It's a big fish eat small fish world, baby. And I'm the big fish. Sorry. Attack left lane.
How did you manage to mess that up?
We gotta do something with this fire. Damn. Absolutely wrecked by Hugo.
The way, broski.
Your team has
Attack
destroyed
middle
the
lane!
Enemies
Your
in
middle
left lane.
tower is under attack. I'll defend. Your attack tower has been destroyed. Your middle tower is under attack. Look behind us. Cancel that. Yo, enemies have returned to base.
Rip my blink.
That's
ally has been slain.
Hugo carrying them super hard right now. He's actually just giving them the kills. Right there is the power of Ra. A good snipe can just save the game.
I got my trusty anchor. What more do I need?
How did you manage to mess that up? How did you manage to mess that up?
Like, is Rama pushing? Is someone pushing? I suck.
Trying to help the person in the cave.
We gotta get a kill here, boys.
Is Ilva moving?
Willock has been spotted. That sucks. I even kind of did well against Ra, it's just I was alone. And they all turned on me too. Literally all of them literally just turned back on me. Rama showed up late, so I kind of get that. That's just kind of unfortunate.
No problem at all.
Damn it! Oh well, at least I got one. It's pretty tough. Like, Hugo is obviously great. Hugo is a really good player. But he's getting so much peeling. Because he shouldn't be able to deal with me as so big very well. It's a big Oni Fury. There's still a bomb on me too.
Catch these. They carry life.
Dude, actually. He is the only one. Actually, no, Rama is playing well, but the reason why they're still in this game is because of Hugo. The Ra is too clutch.
We need wards.
This is the way, broskies.
We only have one sentry.
How did you manage to mess that up?
It's just unfortunate what happened with Willix, to be honest. Dude, you still can't play these things inside? That's so annoying.
On my way.
Enemy ultimate incoming! Enemies in left lane!
Enemies in left lane.
No, dude, how? Oof. Damn. They ended up pretty clean with a gigantic Gibbold. But that was tough. We legitimately had to kill Ra. Ra was the biggest problem. Rama would be easier to deal with if he was alone. But yeah, Hugo Snipes was tough. And Fafnir has some pretty good hammers as well that Hugo could follow up on. And then Rama would just finish them off, whoever was hit. Legitimate wombo combo they got there. If Ra ult does not one-shot, Rama ult will finish it off. Anyway, short queue, but I'm gonna stop. It's dinner time for me. I'm sorry for the short stream. I promise it will be the last one in a general sense for a while, hopefully. Because I'm gonna go make food, take a break, walk the dog, all that stuff again. I'll come back, and then I'll finish Wukong finally, and then I'll be back for Smite 2 tomorrow. Finally, it is time. And I pretty much ended my Smite career now with 2700 MMR. It is unfortunate. I had a bit of a losing streak today because I was trying to have some fun with Ra and Apollo, and the Apollo actually went pretty well. But unfortunate. Last many games have actually been quite nice. So, with that, thank you, Smite 1. I probably will be playing it at some point again, let's be real. I'll probably try it out just to have fun sometimes, but yeah. Kind of bittersweet a little bit for me, because Smite 1 means a lot to me, with everything I've been through. But it sounds like I'm making it sound like it's dying. It's not. Well, I know it's a different conversation. But yeah. Onwards to Smite 2 from tomorrow on. But for now, I appreciate you guys watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!